So this video is about how Google Classroom meets Google Calendar. So to start with, I'm going to go into one of my classes, and I'm in here as a teacher, and I'm going to the About section, and under About you have two options for Calendar: View in Calendar and Open in Google Calendar. So I just want to clarify what that means. So View in Classroom means I'm looking at assignments and questions that were added in Google Classroom. So if I click on it, it opens up a calendar, but I'm still, if you look at the URL, you'll see I'm still within Classroom. So I can see assignments and can see questions for this one individual class, or I can look at all of my classes simultaneously, and that's true as a teacher or as a student, so I can see what I have due in different classes. And if I start looking far ahead, I can click on this little icon here, and that's going to get me back to today's mode. So like I said, you can see assignments and you can see questions. You cannot see announcements. You can't add field trips or days there's no school. That sort of thing will not show up in this view. This is only going to be assignments and questions. But if we go back, there was Open in Google Calendar, and this is going to have a lot more options. So if I open in Google Calendar, you'll see now the URL is changing to google.com/calendar. So I'm actually in the calendar application. And on this page, I have my calendars and I have other calendars. So if you're a teacher of a class, it's going to show up in my calendar. If you're a student in a class, it's going to show up under other calendars. And the big difference is my calendars, I can add events, I can change events. Other calendars, I can really only view. I cannot make changes. So I'm going to go, and you'll see there's these little squares here. If I want to see events from those, I can hit the colored mark, hit that square to color it in, and now I can see those events from those calendars as well. I'm just going to look at that Explorer class. So I'm going to turn off some of these other things. And so I have my Explorer class, and in there you can see I still have a question and assignment that I did publish today. But if I wanted to add something like, I'm going to go to next week, and there's no school next Wednesday, and I want my students to know that. So I'm going to put no school. I need to make sure I check which calendar I'm posting this to. So this class was called Explorer, and I can create the event. It says 5 to 6 a.m. Actually, I want to edit that because it's an all-day event. And so I'm going to check all day and save. And so now it says no school in this kind of orangish color, and that's the color of this calendar. If I wanted it to match the header row in the classroom, Google Classroom, that class was blue, so I might change this to blue just to help with my own organization. And now, if a student goes into the class and opens it in calendar, they'll see this no school piece as well. And there's a couple other things that you can do that are going to be nice for parents. So, for example, in Google Classroom, this view is not visible by parents unless they have their student log in or ask their student to log in and look over their shoulder. But there is a way you can make these Google Calendars now available for parents. So here I'm at that Explorer, that's the name of the class, and I'm going to click this tiny little down arrow, and I'm going to go to share this calendar. So my first step is I need to make the calendar public, and I want people to see all the events. I don't want it just to say busy or free. I actually want them to see what it says as the event. And if I look down here, these are the other people that can make changes. So I can make changes. Anybody in my Explorer class can see the events. And if I have any co-teachers in my class, they'll also be able to make changes. So I'm going to go ahead and save. Yes, I really want it public. And now if I click that little down arrow, I'm going to go to calendar settings. And there's two ways I can share this with parents. If I use something like WordPress, there's this iframe coding. I can just copy and paste this code, and it won't be a link to my calendar. The calendar will actually show up on my website, and that will work in WordPress. The second piece that you could do with parents is under calendar address, there's this green iCal button. And if I click that, I get this long URL. What I would suggest doing is I can take this URL, I can email that to parents, I could put it on my website, and the nice thing about this is if parents or students click on it while they're on a mobile device, it's going to they'll subscribe to this calendar, and then those events will show up on their phone. So this is a nice way. They're not downloading it, because if you download it, any changes would not be viewable. Subscribing to it means that they'll always see the latest view. So this is a link you could send out in Skyward, you could send to your parents via email, or you could just put on your website and say, click here to subscribe. And those subscriptions then, if we go, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and close this. And any calendars that you subscribe to show up down in your other calendars. And there's other places that have these as well. So for example, I can view the pool schedule because I've subscribed to that calendar, or sports calendars, you can do that as well. And so students would not be able to edit that calendar, but they would be able to view that calendar. And if they go into calendar settings, they can, edit notifications, they could have, on the student end, they would be able to get an email or a text message anytime a new event was added or changed. So this is something that students and parents would have control over. So they could also sign up for an email. They'd get an email every morning at 5 a.m. with anything that was due that day, any events on that one calendar. So that's a little bit about how you can use Google Classroom's calendar, as well as Google Calendar, and how those two relate together so that you can get more on your calendar than just your assignments and the questions. Thank you.